My brother made a speech about me abandoning the family. At my wedding, then claimed it was just a joke. His fiancée dumped him after that, and now he is begging me to lie so he can get her back. I, 28F, got married to my husband Victor, 28M, a few weeks ago. It was supposed to be one of the happiest days of my life, but instead, my brother Chase, 24M, managed to turn it into a nightmare. Now he is begging me to help him fix the mess he made because his fiancée Adrian, 23F, is disgusted with him and has put their engagement on ice. He wants me to lie for him to save him from the consequences of his own actions. I have refused, and somehow I am the villain in his eyes. Chase is the type of guy who really loves being in the spotlight. He is always loud and over the top, constantly trying to steal the show on every occasion. Whether it is family get-togethers, holidays, or even just regular dinners, he somehow manages to turn everything into a performance centered around him. On the other side, his fiancée Adrian is his complete opposite. She is soft-spoken, caring, and really considerate. I have honestly never quite figured out what attracted her to him, but since she seems content, I have kept my thoughts to myself. When it came to my wedding, I should have known Chase would not be able to resist making it about him. Still, I hoped he would have enough respect to let me have my moment. After all, he was family, and I wanted to believe he could rise to the occasion. The ceremony was perfect. Everything I had dreamed of, and more. I married the love of my life. It was amazing. During the toasts, Chase stood up to give a speech. I was nervous, but I tried to keep an open mind. He started off surprisingly well. He said some wonderful things about Victor and me, complimented the wedding, and even cracked a few harmless jokes. For a moment, I thought he would surprise me. Then, of course, he came back to his original form. He launched into this long, exaggerated story about our childhood. At first, it sounded okay. He talked about how I went to live with our grandparents when he was born. But then he started twisting the truth and adding lies. He made me sound like a selfish, cold-hearted person who abandoned the family and left him poor little Chase to deal with our parents all alone. He joked that my parents shipped me off because they could not handle me. He made it sound like I was a brat who caused so much trouble that they gave up on me and dumped me next door. None of that was true, but he told it in such a confident way that I saw people in the audience start to look uncomfortable as if they might believe him. Chase did not stop there. He kept piling on, talking about how I supposedly ruined family holidays and made everything harder for everyone. He said, I never came around to visit because I thought I was too good for our parents, completely ignoring the fact that I stayed away because they did not care about me. At one point, he said something like, well, what can you expect from someone who was spoiled by grandma and grandpa? She was living her princess life while the rest of us dealt with reality. I sat there in shock. I did not know how to process whatever he was saying. Everyone there was so weirded out by whatever he was saying. It was an attack. He went on and on, adding fake details, making me sound like the worst person imaginable. I could feel Victor tense up beside me, and Adrian looked absolutely horrified. I was on the verge of crying. Chase ended his speech with a smug grin, raising his glass like he had just said something amazing. I was barely holding it together. People around me looked uneasy, whispering to each other, and the whole mood of the reception changed. Victor tried to cheer me up and keep things on track, but it was clear the damage was done. The next day I woke up to a text from Chase. He said it was all just a wedding prank and that I needed to lighten up. He tried to convince me by saying everyone would eventually laugh about it and I should stop being so sensitive. I did not respond. I could not. Later that day, Adrienne called me. She was furious with Chase and wanted to know if I had been in on the prank. She could not believe he would do something so cruel, especially to his own sister on her wedding day. When I told her I had no idea he was going to do that, she broke down crying. She admitted she did not know if she could marry someone who thought humiliating others was funny. Since then, Chase has been blowing up my phone, begging me to help him fix things with Adrienne. He wants me to lie to her and say I was in on the prank all along, that it was pre-planned and I was okay with it. He thinks if I take some of the blame, Adrienne will forgive him and they can move forward. I refused. I told him this was his mess to clean up and I was not going to lie to save him from the consequences of his actions. He called me selfish, accusing me of ruining his life because of my own bitterness toward him. He even dragged our parents into it, who predictably took his side. I am done being the one who has to keep the peace. Chase crossed every boundary imaginable and ruined one of the most important days of my life. Why should I stick my neck out for him now? As for Adrienne, She has not returned his calls or texts. From what I have heard, their engagement is hanging by a thread, and I do not blame her. No one wants to marry someone who thinks cruelty is comedy. Part of me feels bad for Adrian. She does not deserve this, and I cannot imagine how humiliated she must feel. But I do not feel bad for Chase. He knew exactly what he was doing. He made his bed and now he has to lie in it. Lie. So after refusing to help my brother fix his relationship with his fiancée after he humiliated me at my wedding. Update 1. Okay, so I realized that I gave absolutely no backstory, and it might have been confusing for some people. So here it is. Chase and I have never had the closest relationship. Our parents never really made space for both of us. When I was little, our family situation was pretty chaotic. There was not enough room in our house for 2 kids, so they decided to send me to live with my grandparents, who then moved next door to our parents to keep me close to my family. At the time, I did not really understand what was going on. I thought it was just a temporary situation like a fun change of scenery, but it turned out to be more permanent. Looking back, I realized it was not that they wanted me to be with my grandparents. I just was not the child they prioritized. They did not even try to make it feel like I was wanted there. My grandparents, who were fine people but not exactly affectionate or involved, had no interest in raising another child. So I spent most of my time alone. As for my parents, they were busy with their own lives, especially after Chase was born. It is not like they abandoned me completely, but they did not really make any effort to stay connected. I would visit, hoping for some kind of attention or bonding, but I never really felt like I was part of the family. They were always focused on Chase, and I was just sort of left out. By the time I was 10, I stopped visiting altogether. It was not like I was making a conscious decision to cut them off, but I realized I was not wanted there. The love and attention they were giving Chase made it clear to me that I did not have a place in their lives. So I stayed with my grandparents, who were not exactly the warmest or most affectionate, but at least they provided some level of attention. Chase, meanwhile, grew up in this environment where he was the center of attention. He was not just the baby of the family. He became the focus of all their lives. I am not saying I resented him for it at first. After all, he did not choose to be the golden child. But it was not long before I began to feel that old sting of being neglected. I resented the fact that even though we were both their children, I was treated like an afterthought. Our relationship was always distant. There were no major arguments or dramatic moments, but we also did not share any real bond. I was the black sheep staying with my grandparents, while he was the favorite getting all the attention from our parents. As we got older, we never really addressed it. We just stuck to small talk when necessary, and that distance between us only grew. Later, I found out that Chase thought I had abandoned him, and he never really understood that I did not leave because I wanted to. I was just a kid, and our parents made me leave. In another world, I would have loved to be the older sister he wanted, but I did not have that option here. I never even got the chance to just be around him or play with him or even talk. Even as adults, Chase has kept up the act that we are close. I do not know why he does it. Maybe he thinks it makes him look better in front of other people. He acts like we are the kind of siblings who talk every day and have each other's backs. I try to stay away from him as much as I can. It is not that I do not care, but our relationship seems based on, well, I do not think we really have a relationship per se. Now let us talk about the present. Chase has been reaching out to me non-stop. He has been calling, texting, trying to find a way back into my life. I do not know what he wants or why he thinks I would suddenly be okay with that after everything that has happened. The truth is, I blocked him. I do not want to deal with whatever drama he is bringing into my life. He is not taking no for an answer, though. He has been sending me messages, asking me to give him a chance to explain himself, to work through our issues, as if I should just forgive him and let it all go. I am just not interested anymore. But it is not just that. There is also the fact that Adrian, his fiancée, well, ex-fiancée, called off their engagement. I heard about it through some mutual friends. Apparently she is done with him. And to be honest, I cannot blame her. Chase's behavior has been pretty toxic, and it was only a matter of time before someone else saw it too. What really bothers me is how Chase is dealing with everything right now. He has been going around saying that I am the reason his engagement ended. He is telling everyone that I turned Adrian against him, as if I had some kind of control over their relationship. It is like he is trying to paint me as the villain, but that is just not the case. The truth is, Adrienne noticed how he acted on my wedding and chose to leave on her own. It had nothing to do with me, but naturally Chase wants to blame someone else. It does not stop there. Now he is spreading this ridiculous story that Adrienne cheated on him and I somehow shielded the truth from him. That is an absolute lie. I have never hidden anything from him, and I certainly did not play a role in any breakup drama. I do not know where he is getting these ideas from, but it is just the latest in a long line of lies he is telling to cover up his own mistakes. Honestly, I am just tired of it. I do not know why he thinks I have any obligation to clean up his mess or defend him when he is the one causing all the problems. I am just frustrated. Update 2. I just got back from my honeymoon last week. You might think that Chase would be satisfied with messing up my wedding, but he was not done. He found a way to spoil my honeymoon as well. At first, I thought blocking him would solve the problem. I had cut him off on my phone and social media hoping that would finally give me the peace I needed, but Chase has always been persistent in the worst ways. He found other numbers to call me from and even got mutual acquaintances to pass along his messages. I tried ignoring it, but the constant buzzing of my phone and the endless updates from people around us started to chip away at my patience. I did my best to tune it out. After all, I was on my honeymoon trying to enjoy what should have been one of the happiest times of my life. But it was hard to relax when it felt like Chase was determined to drag me into his mess, no matter how far away I was. And then, just when I thought things could not get more ridiculous, my parents reached out. That alone was shocking. They did not even have the time to come to my wedding. So why would they bother contacting me now? For a moment, I thought maybe they were calling to apologize for not showing up to the wedding without informing me or to check in on me. That would have been too much to hope for. Their call was not about me at all, it was about Chase. They told me I needed to talk to Adrienne and convince her to take Chase back. According to them, it was my duty as his older sister to step in and help him fix things. They did not ask how I was doing or if I was okay. They did not acknowledge the hurt Chase caused me or the humiliation I had endured because of him. No, their only concern was Chase's broken engagement and how I could help clean up his mess. I could not believe what I was hearing. Suddenly, after all these years, they remembered that I was Chase's sister. Now, when it suited them, I was supposed to step into that role and take responsibility for him. It was not enough that I had spent my childhood being pushed aside, sent to live with my grandparents because there was not enough space for both of us. Now they expected me to fix Chase's life too. Growing up, I was never treated like his sister. I was the child who did not fit into their plans, the one shuffled off to live next door while they focused on Chase. They did not care about building a relationship between us. They did not teach us how to support each other or be siblings. I remember trying as a little girl to stay connected. I would visit my parents' house hoping to spend time with them and with Chase, but it was clear I was not welcome. My parents were too busy doting on him, and Chase did not seem to care that I was there. Meanwhile, Chase grew up getting all the attention and love I never had. It was not his fault, but it hurt to see our parents care for him in ways they never cared for me. He resented me for not being around, and I resented him for being the one they chose to prioritize. Now, out of nowhere, my parents expect me to be the older sister they never let me be. They want me to step up and look after Chase to fix his life for him. They said it was my duty to convince Adrienne to take him back, as if I had any control over her decisions or any obligation to clean up his mess. It is almost laughable. Back then, I was not his sister. I was just the kid next door. I was not part of their family in any real sense, and now suddenly I am supposed to play the role of the responsible sibling. Now I am supposed to take on this responsibility because it is convenient for them. I wanted to scream at them to tell them how hypocritical and absurd their request was. But what is the point? They would not listen, just like they never listened before. To them, I am not a person with my own feelings and boundaries. I am just a tool they can use to fix whatever problem they do not want to deal with themselves. They kept saying it was my responsibility and this is my job as the older sibling, until one point I let them speak and I ignored them, but then I just could not. I lost it. I told them it is funny how they care about me being the older sibling now, but they did not care when we were kids. They did not bother helping us have a real sibling bond back then, and now they want me to fix his mess. That is not my problem. I reminded them they treated me like I did not matter and gave Chase all their attention. If they want to deal with his mistakes, that is on them. I am not getting involved. They made their choices, and now they have to deal with the results. I am done letting them treat me like I do not count. I have spent so much of my life being pushed aside and ignored. I finally built something for myself, something separate from the chaos of my family, and they want to drag me back into it. I am done. I am done cleaning up after Chase. I am done being the forgotten child who only matters when someone else needs something. Chase and my parents can sort out their own problems. I am not getting involved. They had their chance to treat me like family, and they threw it away. I am not going to sacrifice my peace for people who have never cared about mine. Update 3. 2 days ago, Adrienne texted me out of the blue. I was not expecting to hear from her, especially after all the chaos Chase had caused. She started by saying Chase had been texting her nonstop, promising that he was going to change. He kept apologizing, saying he regretted everything and that he wanted to make things right between them. Adrienne said she still loves him, but after everything that happened, she was not sure what to do. She seemed really conflicted, and I could see that this situation was bothering her a lot. She asked me for advice, which immediately made me uncomfortable. I did not know what to say. It is not that I do not sympathize with her. I do, but I have been dragged into this mess far too much already. My parents will not stop attacking me over Chase's broken engagement, and I have been trying so hard to keep my boundaries firm. I told Adrienne, as gently as I could, that I did not think I was the right person to give her advice on this. I explained that I am already dealing with enough drama and I do not want to get involved any further. She seemed to understand, but she was a little disappointed. The next day, Adrienne texted me again. She told me she had met with Chase that morning and they had a long talk about everything that happened. She said he admitted he had messed up, talked about his regrets, and promised to work on himself. He even admitted to some of his toxic behavior and said he was serious about changing. Adrienne said she was not sure if she believed him yet, but she is willing to give him a chance to prove he is serious. She told me she is taking it slow. She is not jumping back into the relationship right away, but she wants to see if he is serious about making real changes. If he does, she said she might consider getting back together with him. But if it turns out to be all talk and no action, she is prepared to walk away for good. I do not know how I feel about all this. On one hand, it is her life and her decision, and I respect that. But on the other hand, I cannot shake the feeling that Chase is just telling her what she wants to hear. I did not say any of this to her because I did not want to seem like I was trying to sway her decision. She is already conflicted enough without me adding my opinions to the mix. This morning, Chase reached out to me. He said he really wants to meet with me to talk about everything that has happened. He acknowledged that he has caused a lot of problems and said he understands if I do not want to see him, but he promised that if I agreed to meet him, it would be on my terms. He said if at any point I feel like he is pressuring me or making me uncomfortable, I can walk away and he will leave me alone for good. At first, I did not know what to do. Part of me wanted to ignore him completely. After everything he has done, I do not feel like I owe him anything. But another part of me thought maybe it would help to hear him out just to get some closure. I have been so tired of all this drama, and maybe meeting him could finally help me move on and end it all. I decided to agree to his conditions and meet him. Honestly, I am not expecting much from this conversation. Chase is the type who talks a lot but does not follow through. Still, I am curious to hear what he has to say. Maybe he will surprise me, but I am not getting my hopes up. I am just tired. Tired of being in the middle of all this. Tired of my parents trying to guilt me into fixing things and tired of Chase's inability to take responsibility. I am hoping this meeting will bring some kind of resolution, but honestly, I am not expecting anything. At the end of the day, I just want to focus on my own life and my own happiness. Whatever happens with Chase and Adrienne, that is for them to figure out. I will meet with him, listen to what he has to say, and then decide where to go from there. But one thing is for sure, I am done letting his drama take over my life. Update 4. I met Chase last week. I did not know what would happen and did not really believe it would make a difference, but I thought it might help me find some closure. I was tired of all the drama and the feeling that I was somehow at the center of his problems. When we met, he started by apologizing for the wedding. He acknowledged that what he did was wrong and hurtful. For a moment, I thought he was about to shift the blame onto someone else or ask me to step in and talk to Adrienne on his behalf, but he did not. Instead, he told me that he and Adrian had already talked and that he was determined to work on himself. He said he wanted to become worthy of her and proved that he could change. Hearing that gave me a sense of relief. I was so glad I was not going to be dragged into their relationship again. It felt like he was finally taking responsibility for his actions without trying to pull me into the mess. But Chase was not done. After apologizing and explaining his plan to work on himself, he started talking about our childhood. He told me that for years he had resented me. He felt abandoned by me, and he thought I was not there because I did not want to, because I disliked him. He said it hurt him to grow up without his older sister around, and that it left a hole in his life. I was caught off guard, and I did not really know what to say. I had not expected him to bring up our childhood, and I definitely had not expected him to be so honest about how he felt. He said that as a kid, all he knew was that I was not around. No one ever explained why I was not living at home. Our parents had never told him the real story. They just said I lived next door. To him, it felt like I had chosen to stay away. For the first time, I felt like I needed to tell him my side of the story. So I did. I explained what really happened, how our parents had decided there was not enough room for me at home when he was born, and how I was sent to live with my grandparents. I told him how I had initially tried to stay in his life by visiting, but as I got older, I realized there was not any effort from our parents to involve me in the family. By the time I was 10, I stopped going to their house altogether because it hurt too much to feel like an outsider. I explained how I had felt all those years, like I was not wanted, like I was a burden. I told him how lonely and terrible it was to grow up knowing our parents were more interested in him than me, and how I felt invisible even to our grandparents. They raised me, but never really tried to speak with me. I told him that it was not about him. It was about the situation our parents had created. Chase listened quietly. He did not interrupt or argue. For the first time, I felt like he was really hearing me. He looked like he finally understood where I was coming from, and it seemed to click for him that my absence was not a choice. It was something that had been decided for me. After I finished, Chase asked if I would consider trying to build a relationship with him now. He said he regretted all the time we lost and wished we could have been closer growing up. It caught me off guard because just a few months ago, I would have jumped at the chance. I used to dream about what it would be like to have a real sibling bond with him. But now, after everything that has happened, especially the way he humiliated me at my wedding, I do not feel the same way. I told him the truth. I said I would not mind staying in touch, but I did not think I wanted to put in the extra effort to build a relationship. I explained that while I am technically his older sister, it does not feel that way to me. We did not grow up together, we do not have shared experiences or memories, and there is no real connection between us. I said it felt like it was too late to start over, and I did not want to force something that was not there. Chase did not argue or try to change my mind. He just nodded and said he understood. I could see he was disappointed, but he did not push it any further, and I appreciated that. The conversation ended peacefully, and for the first time in a while, it felt like things between us were at least a little better. Since then, things have been okay. Chase has not reached out to stir up more drama, and Adrian has not contacted me for advice again. It seems like they are figuring things out on their own, which is exactly how it should be. I am relieved that I am not in the middle of their issues anymore. I think meeting Chase was the right decision. Even though I do not want to put in the effort to build a close relationship with him, I am glad we talked. It gave me the chance to tell him my side of the story and clear up the misconceptions he had about our childhood. I am okay with where things are. Whatever happens with Chase and Adrian is up to them. Victor and I have been focusing on enjoying our time together. After everything we went through with the wedding and the fallout afterward, it feels good to have some peace and quiet. I am not as worried about the drama with Chase or my parents anymore, and I am starting to feel like I can finally move on.